In the late September of 2008, Liam Neeson exploded onto British cinema screens as Brian Mills in the hit action thriller Taken, turning Neeson into a new breed of modern-day action hero practically overnight. The original uncut European version of the film had been extensively edited to gain an unrestricted teen-friendly rating in the United States, removing heavy beatings, stabbings, the cracking of bones, blood spurts, drug imagery, and brief images of a scantily clad woman. A torture scene was also heavily reduced through the use of alternative material shot by the filmmakers, but what remained was still tonally strong. In spite of the film's dark tone, frenetic violence, and the scene of torture, not to mention themes of sexual slavery and revenge, the film scraped by with a PG-13 rating in the United States for intense sequences of violence, disturbing thematic material, sexual content, some drug references, and language. The same cut version of the film received a more appropriate 15 rating in the UK for its original theatrical outing, and the film went on to make £7 million at the UK box office. The uncut European version later made its way onto DVD and Blu-ray, which reinstated the material originally removed for the American censors, and was passed with an 18 rating by the BBFC. Given the worldwide success of Taken, a sequel was pretty much a given, and the follow-up, the aptly named Taken 2, was released 4 years later. It made even more money than the first film at the UK box office, which was due in no small part to the lower 12A rating it was eventually awarded. But this rating came at a price, and in this episode of Cutting Edge, we'll be examining the nature of the censorial changes made to the PG-13 version of Taken 2 for its original UK theatrical release. Taken 2 followed the same path as its predecessor, with the original version of the film receiving cuts in order to attain a PG-13 rating in the United States. After these cuts were made, the film was passed for intense sequences of violence and action, and some sensuality. As is usually the norm, the PG-13 version would be the standard version distributed to other countries around the globe. Eager to capitalise on the success of the first film, and wishing to make as much money as possible, the filmmakers wanted to attain a 12A rating for Taken 2 in the UK, and the cut PG-13 version of the film was submitted to the BBFC for an advice viewing in the August of 2012, with a request for a 12A rating. However, the BBFC informed the filmmakers that the film was too strong for 12A. The company was advised that the film was likely to receive a 15 rating, but that their preferred 12A version could be achieved by making changes to 3 scenes. These were to reduce elements of violence and threat. So the filmmakers took the film away and, based on the BBFC's advice, made additional cuts to the film before resubmitting it for a formal theatrical classification. The film was passed 12A without further BBFC cuts on September 14th, 2012 for moderate violence and threat. But what exactly was removed for the UK's theatrical release? Since a formal cuts list is not issued as the result of a BBFC advice viewing, coupled with the fact that the specially prepared 12A version did not receive a UK home video release, it is not possible to do a direct comparison between the PG-13 and 12A versions. However, the BBFC's notes on the examination of both the US and UK versions of the film do give us some indication of the material they deemed contentious. Furthermore, comparing the running times between the PG-13 cut of the film and the 12A version suggests that around 70 seconds of footage was removed or altered for the UK theatrical release. Based on the available information, Cutting Edge has created visual examples of what the censored scenes in the 12A version of the film may have looked like for UK cinema goers. These examples are not intended to be definitive representations of the filmmaker's changes, but using the BBFC's observations as a guide, they should give a general idea of how they would have been prepared to suit the 12A rating. The first of the 3 scenes altered for the 12A rating concerns the torture of the corrupt French intelligence officer Jean-Claude Pitrel. In an effort to locate Neeson's character Brian, the the film's villain, Murad, has one of his men threaten and stab Jean-Claude with a pair of scissors. This scene was one of many altered for a PG-13 rating in the United States, but even reduced to its bare minimum in its PG-13 form, the strong threat and torturous nature of the scene was too much for the BBFC, and the filmmakers further reduced this scene for the 12A version.
Where is he?
The PG-13 version of the scene plays as follows.
Okay. You want to play with me?
No! 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 Ah! Ah!
But I'm a good player too. Look.
No! No!
I guess the rules are changing.
With regards to this scene, the BBFC seem to have objected to the threat of Jean-Claude having his ear cut off, as well as the footage implying the thrusting of the scissors into his leg, and the stifling of his screams. This is an edited version of the same scene, based on the BBFC's comparisons of the PG-13 and 12A versions.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Okay. You want to play with me? But I'm a good player. Look.
No! No!
I guess the rules are changing.
The second scene cut for the BBFC was the sadistic treatment of Brian's wife Lenore. The menacing scene plays as follows in the PG-13 version.
Get it done!
How long will it take for the blood to rush to her head and have no place to go?
About 30 minutes.
You are right. You are an expert for this. So you have 30 minutes to watch her die.
She had nothing to do with this. Do what you want with me. Let her go.
Don't play the hero with me.
The overall sadistic tone of the scene was too much for the BBFC, and Murad's dialogue about the length of time it will take Lenore to die was thus removed, along with footage of the slice made on Lenore's neck and the rather brief and undetailed sight of blood dripping from her wound. Surprisingly, these events were not edited down for the PG-13 rating, but the 12A version may have played something like this.
Get it done!
She had nothing to do with this. Do what you want with me. Let her go.
Don't play the hero with me.
The third and final scene altered received the heaviest cuts, and again centered around the nature of threatening behavior directed towards Lenore. In a series of shots that are intercut with Brian making an effort to come to her rescue, we see Lenore tied to a chair and her captor threatening her again with a pair of scissors, drawing the blades across her face and body in a sadistic manner. Lenore is visibly traumatized throughout, and these scenes of threat, which arguably had some sexual undertones, were removed outright or edited down in order to lessen their impact in the 12A version. Again, these scenes were not cut down for the PG-13 version and played as follows in the American version of the film. BBFC guidelines for 12A state that there may be moderate physical and psychological threat. In their eyes, the prolonged nature of Lenore's scenes went beyond the level of moderate, and these scenes were toned down or removed entirely for the 12A version. Our following example, again based on the BBFC's observation of the PG-13 version, shows what a cut version of the scenes looks like with the threatening elements reduced. The focus is now shifted to Brian coming to Lenore's rescue, with fewer cuts back to her traumatizing experience with her captor.
Sorry.
Following the filmmaker's changes, the cut 12A version of Taken 2 was released into British cinemas on October the 5th, 2012, and the film went on to make almost £24 million in its UK theatrical run, an increase of £17 million when compared to the 15-rated Taken released in 2008. For the UK DVD and Blu-ray releases of Taken 2, Fox submitted both the American PG-13 version and the original uncut version to the BBFC, the latter of which was released unrated in the United States. Since both of these versions contained the material originally removed for the UK's 12A cinema version, both versions were passed uncut with a 15 rating on December the 24th, 2012 for strong threat and violence. All UK home video versions on DVD and Blu-ray contain the two cuts of the film that are identical to those released in the United States. Fans of the film can therefore pick up Taken 2 on either format, happy in the knowledge that the film contains none of the cuts that were made in order to appease the BBFC for the film's original theatrical release in the UK.